It's time for news from around the world, and meanwhile in oh my God, I can't believe the kangaroo. But anyway, meanwhile in Australia, they still have koalas, sort of, but not as many as they once did. Nearly a third of Australia's koalas were wiped out in just the past 3 years, according to new figures that were released by a conservation group. It estimates the koala population to now be in the range of between 32,000 to 58,000, down from an estimated 46 to 82,000 in just 2018. 1/3 of their population in 3 years. And when we get into what is causing the deaths of so many koalas, the next 10 years or so certainly doesn't look much brighter. But understand the context of koalas in Australia. They were listed as a vulnerable species in parts of the country back in 2012, so we've known for some time that they're at risk. Last June, a parliamentary inquiry determined that koalas in New South Wales could become extinct by 2050 unless the government immediately intervenes to protect them and their habitat. And that is scary enough. The idea that an animal as iconic, and certainly iconic as a representation of Australia, could be lost by 2050. But if they're losing tens of thousands in just a few years, do we really think they're gonna last another 30 years? I don't know why we would assume that. But what's causing all of this? Well, it's something that we actually talked about several times on the show. Images of burned and thirsty koalas in charred trees and bushes became symbolic of the devastating toll of the catastrophic wildfires that swept large swaths of the country in late 2019 and early 2020, killing or displacing an estimated 3 billion total animals. Now, koalas were a very small percentage of the total number of animals that were killed, but that is an apocalyptic situation. And again, we talked about it at the time. Here's what happened though. There were these devastating wildfires that actually produced quite a bit of international press and media attention. And then the pandemic started and swept across the globe, and we all kind of forgot about it. But the climate situation that caused those fires in Australia has not been mitigated in any way. It's not been ameliorated in any way since then. There's every reason to believe those fires will continue. And unless something is done to protect not only koalas, but other animals, we will continue to see the sort of devastation that we already have. And by the way, I just want to throw this in here. This is not specific to Australia, but I noticed this news earlier today. Perhaps you did too. The US has announced that the ivory-billed woodpecker, as well as 22 other species, are now functionally extinct. And bear in mind, when they're labeled extinct now, they might not have been seen in the wild for decades and decades. This is kind of us just giving up and saying, we really held in there, assuming that perhaps one of these woodpeckers would show up, but it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. And look, there are some environmentalists that say, let's not do this. We've already put a lot of time and attention into trying to find examples of these animals. But some are saying they just don't exist. So ivory-billed woodpecker, other birds, the little Mariana fruit bat, a bunch of different types of mussels. Don't worry about it. You didn't know what they were, and now you literally never will. That's just in one announcement. 23 species are now gone, and we're done with them. And many more where that came from if we don't start taking this more seriously. But meanwhile, speaking of animals, meanwhile in Spain, boars are attacking people, and not just regular people like you or I. They're attacking pop stars now. So the Grammy Award winner Shakira said that 2 wild boars pounced on her bag as she visited a Barcelona park with her son, running off into the forest with the bag, not with the son. But anyway, she actually posted on Instagram about this. Let's play a little bit of that video.
Miren cómo me han dejado el bolso 2 jabalíes que me han atacado en el parque. Me han atacado, me han reventado todo. Y se iban llevando mi bolso para el bosque con mi teléfono. Y al final me han dejado el bolso porque me les he enfrentado. Mira, di la verdad. ¿Cómo tu mami se enfrentaba a los jabalíes?
Celebrities, they're just like you and I. They get attacked by wild boars and they want their bravery to be witnessed. But anyway, I'm left wondering, what's the situation that has Shakira accessible to boars? That just seems so weird. I just imagine she has a ring of bodyguards designed to stop like humans, let alone pigs. But no, they got to her. They got her bag, they took it away. Now, she apparently eventually recovered it, but it was destroyed at that point. And this isn't just a problem for Shakira. Wild boars are a big problem in Spain, where police received more than 1,100 complaints about them in just 2016. They attack dogs, they run into cars on the road. In Italy, by the way, because this is not a problem just in Spain, a pack was recorded stalking a woman carrying her groceries. She eventually dropped the bags, surrendering them to the animals that immediately pounced on them. That's personally what I would do. They probably just wanted your food, throw it on the ground. Italy estimates that there are 2 million wild boars in the country. And I just want to ask for some balance in the world. We've got like 1 armload of koalas left, and we've got boars out the wazoo. So many that you can find video in Rome. There are thousands of wild roaming boars in the streets of Rome harassing old women. I wanted to play a video, but it's from the AP, so we can't. And meanwhile, we got like 3 koalas left. The world can be very frustrating. So anyway, some animals are doing quite well, even getting FaceTime with Shakira, but others not so much. And meanwhile, in Serbia, Havana Syndrome has struck again. Yes, the CIA has evacuated an intelligence officer from Serbia who is suffering from symptoms associated with so-called Havana Syndrome, as more cases of this mysterious neurological attack continue to affect American spies and diplomats. And they say that this incident in the Balkans, which hadn't previously been reported, happened within recent weeks and continues a quote, troubling uptick in attacks. And I would just like to say to the New York Times, why are you phrasing it that way? A troubling uptick in attacks. You're saying it's an attack. We don't know that it's an attack. It's a syndrome. It's a thing the CIA is saying. It could be an attack, but it has not been established to be an attack. And they are the arbiters of what is true and objective, are simply claiming, no, they were attacked by something. And I would ask the New York Times, what? I mean, some people think it's a microwave weapon, directed energy, lasers, or something like that. Which is it? You're saying it's an attack, so you must know at this point. But no, they're just playing into what amounts to effectively unsubstantiated US propaganda about this so far. But let me give you more details. About a week ago, a CIA agent fell ill with suspected Havana Syndrome while on a work trip to India, with CIA Director William Burns and another agent experiencing the same symptoms about a month ago in Vietnam. So you've got Havana, you've got India, you've got Vietnam, you've got Serbia. It's all over the place. So what's common to it? Well, all of the unidentified officers reported the same symptoms: headaches, pain, nausea, vertigo brought on by sounds, pressure, or heat. And there are as many attempted explanations for what this is as there are incidents of it. Some theorize that the symptoms are caused inadvertently by surveillance equipment. It couldn't be with the CIA, couldn't be that. Others are saying it's a mysterious sonic weapon. It's one or the other, equally likely. And the thing that bothers me is we have just sort of accepted, yes, it is some kind of attack that is happening everywhere around the world. By who? Nobody seems to know. Nobody has a theory, but they are taking it seriously. The House unanimously passed a bill last week authorizing additional support for US officials who have been affected by this supposedly. The New York Times is accepting the argument. The Department of Defense wants people to report if they feel anything. And I'm not saying that this couldn't be an attack or that nothing is happening to these people, but we should be very cautious of just accepting what the CIA is saying about this, especially when it's as vague and as unsupported as it currently is.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.